The current date is June of 2023. Welcome to the Time Capsule Podcast, where every episode is like its own little time capsule. We are leaving these recordings here and won't be touching them for 20 years, but you guys can listen whenever and wherever you like. So, here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Time Capsule Podcast. I'm here today with my buddy Jake.
Hey, what's up?
And my name is David. I'll be your lovely host for today. And unfortunately, our third and better third of us, Brian, could not be here today. He's having technical difficulties, which I suppose is kind of topical.
Yeah, it's weird. We finally get David in, and now Brian's out. It's unfortunate, to say the least.
It's a curse.
It's the curse of Emotep.
Exactly.
This episode is actually being edited by someone new and different, and a new addition to the Quintercle team. Her name is Jade, and she is dating David.
Hooray.
And she has volunteered to edit our podcast indefinitely, ? I don't know how much she wants to do, but we're very grateful for her. It's very lovely of her to offer her time to do this. So thank you, Jade. Shout outs to you.
I love you, Jade.
Okay, segment over.
Jake, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about tech today, the evolution and the change of technology. But before that, small talk. How have you been, man? It's been a while.
I've been okay. I've been, working, helping mom with projects around the house. I bought a brand new exhaust for my motorcycle, and it sounds like a big boy bike now, so that makes me really happy. Got a nice deep rumble to it when I...
As long as it's not too loud, I approve.
It's of decent decibel level. How have you been? What's up in your life?
Just dealing with the fact that we are living in a capitalist hellscape, and I'm gonna have to work 2 jobs to afford the mortgage that I'm going to be taking up.
Yep.
Because I'm working right now on buying my first ever home. It's a nice little condo.
Congratulations.
And I'm closing on it in the latter half of this month. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's happening right now, and it sucks not having any enough money. Like, my monthly payment is more than what I make in a single paycheck. Now, I do get paid every 2 weeks, so it's not like, I'm gonna be instantly broke, but I'm definitely gonna be hemorrhaging money, I feel.
Right.
That's gonna be the issue, because I also have an HOA.
Oh.
That I have to pay every month.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but you find a place that's like abandoned and might have been a crack in, or you have to shell out a bit of money, to have a place that's like livable. It's not great.
Well, congratulations. Getting a place of your own is a big step, and
I thank you, and you will be invited to the housewarming party when it occurs.
Awesome.
Yes. When I say you, I mean David, not you, the listener. Sorry.
You listeners.
Apologies. So sorry.
Come
That's
from
not happening.
all
Please
over.
don't come to my house.
Oh man, not my house.
Call the police.
That's
I did want to bring up though. I have some pretty huge, amazing news in terms of this show. So very occasionally I will just Google our podcast to see the name of our podcast to see, how it's doing in terms of SEO and whether or not you'll even see it on the first page of results. And I'm happy to report that we now officially have a Google info panel.
Whoa!
So when you Google the name of our show, the Time Capsule Podcast, you will see a little box at the very top of the results screen that says "See Results About," and it'll have our logo that I made and the name of the show right there. And that is something I'm very proud of.
That is...
I'd like to thank everyone for getting us this far. We couldn't have done it without you. You're awesome.
That is awesome. I just Googled it right now. If you click on images, one of the images is episode 14. You see Time Capsule Podcast.
Excelente.
That is, that does make the soul feel good.
Beautiful, beautiful. Krasavice.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. I also, I wanted to ask you, do you have a Netflix, or does your family have a Netflix?
I do have a Netflix account.
Is it a shared account, though?
Yes, it's with my family.
Right, but they all live here in Kansas, I'm assuming, right?
Correct.
So you're not really affected by it. But
yeah.
So like last week, I want to say, at least that's when it hit my house in particular. I don't know, how the rest of necessarily North America is dealing with it, but generally speaking, last week, Netflix's new policy hit North America, where if you are sharing a password and you're not in the same like geolocation as the owner of the account, then they'll kick you off, and you either have to get like a temporary authentication code that only lasts for a short time, or buy your own account, or like, something or other. I think there's a hack or workaround where you like use a VPN, but more often than not, a good quality VPN costs money, which is what we're trying to avoid here, spending additional money. And everyone generally, no one likes to spend money. Don't act like you like spending money, David. Get off your high horse.
I don't.
The point is, though, I hate Netflix. Screw Netflix. Netflix sucks now. They've ruined everything. We had a really nice thing going, actually. My uncle is the owner of the Netflix account, and he lives in Colorado. And my father has a Disney Plus account. And so he shared his Netflix password with us, and we shared our Disney Plus password with them. And it was a nice symbiotic relationship there as far as video, movie, and TV streaming goes. But now Netflix is gone.
Dashed against the rocks.
Yes. Reduced to atoms.
Well, I don't see why they would have done that. Like, if you're like, hey, this person that lives like halfway across the United States is still using my account, like, what do I do? Like, just change your password. Like,
I'll tell you exactly why they implemented it. For the pursuit of money. The greedy pursuit of money.
Yep.
Speaking of which, do you use Reddit with any degree of regularity?
No.
So there's a big brouhaha happening on that website right now, and I've kind of been dying to have someone else to talk to it about it. So I'll just fill you and the rest of the listeners and who may not know about it in on the details.
I'll have to look it up.
And you can tell me what you think about it. So for a while now, the Reddit official app has existed, but it was not always a thing. Like it's a pretty recent addition to it's a pretty recent thing.
Right.
Like I mean, it's been like, I think it came out while I was in high school. I want to say like late high school. But that's not the point. The point is, before that, there were a bunch of third-party apps that you could download either on Android or iOS that you could use as a client to browse Reddit. And one of the most popular one by far is called Apollo. I don't use that one though. I use one called Reddit is Fun, and I mean, they all have their strengths, but that's the one I've grown to personally prefer. And very recently, like literally earlier this month, or it might have been like right at the end of May, Reddit announced that the price they're going to charge for their API, because it used to be free. They would just give out their API to the developers of the apps, and then they would use that for the communication between the app and Reddit itself.
Yeah.
But then they recently announced that they're going to charge for it, and they're like, don't worry, it's going to be affordable and realistic, and you'll be fine with it. And then they're like, you can pay us $20 million a year for it.
Actually?
Like, it's stupid. And it the only way to make that sustainable is if you were a third-party app developer, is if you made your third-party app a paid subscription. But even then, it'd have to be expensive, and that would drive people away, because why would you pay a subscription to a site that's otherwise free?
Yeah.
And
I can go on my computer right now and go to reddit.com.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the gripe though is the official Reddit app is dog feces. It's horrible. It's crap. Like the user interface is an absolute travesty. I've tried to use it and literally went back to Reddit is Fun, because it's like there's a visual breakdown on Reddit somewhere itself where you've got like these screenshots that are side by side comparisons of how poorly optimized screen space is on the official app versus I think they use Apollo. No, they use Reddit is Fun actually in that demonstration, and it's kind of appalling how bad it is. And it's also, the official app is not known for its accessibility support. So all Reddit's blind users, if they're on mobile, they tend to favor third-party apps like Apollo, and Reddit is Fun. And there's also moderator tools that are better and more optimized on the third-party apps than the official app. And everyone's angry at the ridiculous pricing for the APIs. So
Yeah.
Reddit, like hundreds and hundreds, I think maybe even thousands of subreddits are gonna shut down in protest on the 12th of this month.
Wow.
And if and I think some of them, a lot of the bigger ones are only going to stay shut down for 2 days, but most of them are shutting down indefinitely until either it's changed, or if they refuse to change, then there's going to be a mass exodus and people are going to leave Reddit, and it's going to be like Dig. Do you know what Dig is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna go the way of Dig and Vine, and I don't think Vine was ruined by corporate greed, but
No.
It's still dead, and so it's like MySpace is dead.
Yeah.
I'm just like naming dead things now, dead platforms. The point is, though, corporate greed is the motivation there. The CEO held an AMA earlier today. That is June 9th, June 9th, yes. And everyone was calling him out, and he never addressed any of the actual problems. He just kind of so Reddit came out and accused the creator of Apollo of threatening them and trying to blackmail them. But the creator of Apollo recorded. He lives in Canada, which is one party consent for recording. So he recorded all of their conversations just in case, and then he was like, actually no, this is what happened, you're a liar. And now they look even worse and dumber and terrible. It's great, but it's also horrible because admittedly Reddit is a bit of a crutch. I'm low-key addicted to it. I browse it almost daily. It's a great place for fans of something to come together like that. I really love the mechanic of the subreddit, right? You've got a whole forum dedicated to one specific thing, whether that be your favorite TV show or a subreddit called OnlyFans, where it's literally pictures of things, the fans, like actual air circulation apparatuses. Like that's the kind of level of sense of humor that you can find on that website. It's great, but it's also terrible. It's
right.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. Though,
that is interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, and it's also gonna a lot of moderation teams use bots to help sort through the content that gets uploaded and stuff. That is also going to be heavily affected. A lot of bots are going to die if and when third-party apps are killed.
That's sad.
Yeah. So the whole website is just broiling with anger over it. It's kind of crazy actually to watch.
That's wow.
But yeah. What about you? You got any more small talk? I'm sorry, I went on like a 10-minute freaking
tangent about
tangent
Reddit
there. Yeah, but it's
that's interesting. I don't mind at all.
It's kind of crazy.
I don't necessarily have any more small talk unless we wanted to jump into our articles.
Right, yeah. So, let me talk about that for a sec too.
Go ahead.
I wanted to try out a new segment on the show where we bring an article that we've seen over the past month to the next episode, and we talk about it for a little bit, and we just the point is that we find them funny or otherwise interesting / entertaining. And this particular segment was inspired by an absolute legend by the name of Ryan S. I didn't ask to name drop you, so I'm not going to fully name drop you, but David, you know who he is. Brian knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know who you are, and if you happen to be listening,
Ryan, who you are.
Yeah, if you happen to be listening, my good sir, this is your official invite to come on the show. We'd love to have you here. I'm sure there's a lot of things you can speak on. You're a very experienced person. Anyway, without further ado, I will go ahead and, if you don't mind, I'll read my article first.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, so this actually was originally published in 2018, but it got republished in a sort of compilation article in April of this year, and it made its way onto my feed 1 to 3 weeks ago, I'd say.
Okay.
So the name of the article is called "How to Sink a $3 Billion Nuclear Submarine. Leave a hatch open."
What?
And so the first paragraph is as follows. A nuclear submarine in India was almost sunk because someone left the hatch open. Going to sea has never been without risks. For those in military uniform, the dangers are compounded. It's always taken a special breed of men and women willing to head out over the horizon. Countless sailors have lost their lives due to the dangers of the sea, but in a few cases, it was due to stupid mistakes. The what's it called? Hold on, I have to scroll down because this is poorly written. Perhaps the most embarrassing mishap in military maritime history is what happened to the INS Arihant, India's first nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine, when it deployed in 2017. It cost $2.9 billion, and it was left completely inoperative for almost a whole year because someone left a hatch open, which allowed seawater to rush in and nearly sunk the submarine in the process.
That is crazy.
Ah, man. That's funny right there. I mean, it probably would have decimated sea life if it had nuclear missiles on board, and if it was also powered by nuclear fission. But, man.
Imagine being responsible for sinking a $2.9 billion machine because you left a door open.
A literal $3 billion oopsie.
I couldn't imagine.
Man, of all the things to, like, forget to do on a submarine, too, I feel like that's like, how do you forget to close the hatch as you climb down in, right? Like, I feel like that's got to be submarine 101, right? Like, they don't let you on board unless you know how to close the door behind you.
Wow.
Oh, man. That's like a bit in a comedy sketch. Did you close the door, Johnson? Oh, what? That was supposed to close?
Insert laugh track.
Yeah.
You're watching people drown. You're like,
what a bunch of idiots. Good thing that would never happen in real life. And then it, like, zooms out and it reveals that it's a sailor watching that on his phone while the submarine he's in is filling with water.
Yes.
All right. What's your article?
Okay, the title of my article is Pickleball Has a Noise Problem. He's trying to fix it.
Who's trying to fix it?
He.
Who's he?
I'll get there. That's actually the first line is, who is he? So it says, pickleball is America's fastest growing sport, but it has a noise problem. One man is on a mission to fix that. Who is he? Bob Unitic? Unic?
How do you spell that?
Unetich.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It says, before he was a pickleball lover, Unitic was an engineer, and when it comes to the noise problem, he gets it. You can't take pop, pop, pop for 12 hours a day, every day, and remain sane. He founded Pickleball Sound Mitigation to provide consulting and advice on keeping the noise down. The explosive growth of the game, played on a small court with a paddle and plastic ball, saw participation nearly double in 2022, increasing by 85.7% year over year and by 158.6% over 3 years, according to the Sports and Fitness Industry Association. And with that explosion came the lawsuits. Journalist Mark Dent first reported on Unitic's efforts and pickleball's noise problem for The Hustle after he saw these lawsuits in local publications. I cannot read. Over the last several months, I just kept seeing them kind of pop up, and all these lawsuits, of course, were largely over pickleball being too noisy. Can you imagine suing a company because their game is too loud?
Right. You'd think that the first thing, if you're of that mindset, you would sue the people playing it.
Yeah. Like,
at the very least. Even then, that's still insane. But
it's a sport. Like, that's like going to a football game and being like, the stadium is too loud. I'm gonna sue the NFL. I can't take this.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect if you're gonna go play a game? Anyways, what are people saying? Here's Dent telling NPR why he started looking into this. Pickleball is like the worst of both worlds. You know, it's loud and it's high-pitched. So I'm like, how can pickleball be less noisy? Is anybody working on it? It turns out Unitic was. Here's what he told NPR he has found out.
That's interesting.
Pickleball sound exists right in that most sensitive range. An interesting thing I learned along the way is that the garbage truck backup beepers are right in the same pitch of pickleball. Why did they pick that sound for beepers? Because it's the most annoying frequency. So the reason garbage trucks beep like that is because it's annoying and it'll get your attention so you don't get crushed by a truck.
Yeah, but that's absolutely fair. But you don't want to die by that way. That's a terrible way to go.
And Unitech and a couple other engineers tested different paddles for sound levels. We built a tall chamber. We found dropping a ball, if there was no wind, no air, enabled you to get a very predictable speed. And so a ball hitting one paddle will give you a different sound than a ball hitting a different paddle. So what now? Unitech's research has found that different materials in the equipment around as sound barriers can help. Still, the simplest solution is to just build courts far enough away from people. It's kind of.
I mean, yeah. If you put it in a public park, then that's feasible. There's one near where we live, and it's.
That is true.
I mean, it's pretty close to the nearest house, but it's like if you were sitting in the house, it probably wouldn't be that bad.
There's a park. There's a park right by, my old high school, and it is like right next to a residential area. Like there are houses across the street from the pickleball court.
Interesting.
So I can understand.
Do you play pickleball?
I've dabbled.
Do you enjoy it?
It's interesting and it's very fun. I think it's definitely worth playing.
My family's gotten into it quite a bit recently.
We're just part of the percent.
I gotta say, I like it. Although I find all these reports that you're reading interesting, because I've always felt, at least with the paddles that we use and the balls that we use, the tapping sound that occurs when you hit the ball with a paddle, I kind of find that satisfying.
I know.
And I wouldn't call it shrill. I almost say it's not necessarily low pitch, but it's just a hollow plastic tapping.
Under the
I don't think it's annoying.
Under the picture for the article, it's like a ball resting under a pickleball paddle, and under the picture the caption says, "Does the pop 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 noise of pickleball annoy or entice you?" I find it akin to like tennis. Like I don't really find much of a difference in the sound it makes, really.
Yeah, I also think that the sounds of tennis are arguably satisfying. Like, oh, and I know this isn't real tennis, but the sounds on Wii Sports, I've always loved those.
Yes.
When you play tennis on Wii Sports,
that's very nice.
Beautiful.
I wonder. Do you think if they make another Wii Sports, there will be a pickleball game?
That would be sick. I was actually talking to Caleb the other day. I was like, can you imagine if they made Super Mario Pickleball?
That would be awesome. I would play that.
I mean, they made Mario Tennis.
I know, and that is a fun game right there.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what console you're on, yeah, for sure. Let me ask you, do you prefer pickleball over tennis?
I do. I think...
I was going to say, if pickleball feels... I don't know if easier is the right word, but, like, there's less running around than in tennis, and I like that better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you still have to go for a ball or two, but, like, tennis courts are so much bigger than pickleball courts.
I like the dynamic of how it's not always just, like, slapping the ball as hard as you can.
That also is nice, yes.
There's
that is a significant part of it.
If you get up in the kitchen, there's some strategy there.
Mm-hmm. I also like how you don't necessarily have to let it bounce first. You can just smack it right back.
Yeah, definitely.
That is probably my favorite aspect. Apart from the satisfying tapping. Anyway, technology time. Look at this. We're almost half an hour in. We haven't even got to the meat and potatoes of this episode. Let's do it.
Yep.
So, I have a little list of bullet points just of things that I wanted to talk about. However long, I can go as long or short as need be.
Right.
But let me ask you how many you have, if any.
I have about 6 or I think I have 7. Yeah.
Okay, I've only got 5, interestingly enough. But I bet you there's some overlap between our lists.
Probably.
Let's go ahead and find out. So I'll let you go first.
All right.
Why not?
My first one is probably one of the most noticeable advancements in technology for at least the people of the world, and that's going to have to be the advancements in the technology of cars and vehicles in particular. In just a couple years, like, we went from the newest thing in your car being like an Apple screen that could connect to your phone, and now cars are driving themselves. Like, there are cameras and sensors that can detect other vehicles and objects in the road, and a car with no driver can correct and drive on a highway and stop at stop signs without anybody touching the steering wheel. Like,
oh yes, they're still far from perfect, but it's impressive
they're far
that
from
we're
perfect. But like,
living in such an era.
If you told me as like a 10-year-old, like, hey, check this out, this car can drive by itself with nobody in the driver's seat, I'd be like, are you dumb? Like, that's not how cars work.
Yeah, actually, have you seen that video of old
yes,
two
yes.
old men reacting to a self-driving car? Like I think they called it for an Uber or something, and they're like in their 80s,
Yeah,
around there, and they're just their minds are blown.
like they didn't believe
they can't
it.
get over the fact that there's no driver in the driver's seat.
The guy behind the driver's seat is like reaching his arms around to like see if there's like something.
Yeah,
there.
to try to touch the invisible.
And
man.
you can call them. You can call a car with your phone, no driver, and this car will show up to you. It is.
Yeah.
We are creating GTA 5. We are in the process of cars just materializing next to you.
You know, that's an interesting, like, why do you think we never got to a point where we had people like operating cars, but not from inside the car, like from like a computer at home,
like as a drone?
Yeah, like you would a drone.
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's like a thing that could. I mean, it definitely is not tenable now that we don't even need humans at all to operate a car. But
oh yeah,
like 15 years ago, that could have been a thing, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Speaking of drones, did you see like they're not necessarily in the news, but like there are like basically they're like personal flight vehicles. It's essentially like a giant drone you can sit in. And it's usually got like 6 rotors on it. And there's like actually one even named after, it's called the Jetson One, after the the show The Jetsons, and it's essentially supposed to be like what basically as close as we could get to a flying car, and this the way they're depicted in the Jetsons, except we need propellers for them to fly, but you also have to be like Elon Musk rich to have it, so it's not really practical.
That's awesome though. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that would be so cool to. That's like one of the biggest things I hate about driving is the fact that there's other people on the road. Can we stop?
People, stop driving your cars. Walk to your job.
Hey guys, do me a favor and stop existing.
You live in Belton, Missouri, and work in Kansas City, Kansas. Just walk.
Yeah, what are you?
A commuter?
A child?
Yeah.
No. Honestly, though, if we had better infrastructure and public transit, that would definitely be a thing. I don't know if you've ever been to Europe before, but it's like beautiful how easy it is to hop on a tram and be in a shopping district in minutes. Like less than 10 minutes. In certain places, anyway.
Right. I haven't been
Most places.
to Europe, but down in Louisiana, if you get like a pass for the trolleys that they have down there, you can pretty much go anywhere in the city in like a reasonable amount of time without even getting on a car. And just because everything is so close that like once the tram or trolley, whatever, that connected to like a cable car, that's what I'm looking for. Once the cable car like takes you to the drop-off location, it's probably a 5-minute walk to where you need to go from there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what I did all day. And honestly, as someone who's never really taken public transport ever in their entire life, it was very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, even in places in the U.S. where we do have public transit, they're usually either decrepit or freaking completely filthy.
Yeah,
like it's even when they exist, they're not ideal. But we're trying. So, yay!
Hooray!
Hooray for terribleness. No, I'm kidding. Well, one of the first thing I had that I wanted to talk about was the popular media format, right? So when I was a kid, growing up in the early 2000s, the dominant one was still, well, maybe not dominant, but it was still pretty common. It was VHS. DVD was just starting to rise,
right,
and beat it out, and then of course it became DVDs and CDs, and now it's streaming, right? And so if you would walk up to me as a kid when I was in elementary school and told me, hey, you won't have to worry about being on the right channel at the right time to watch whatever show you want to watch, you can just pull it up on a website and do it whenever you want, and you can pause it and you'll have captions, and you can binge a whole season at once. That would have blown my freaking mind. I would not have believed you.
If you walked up to me as a kid and you were like, "This is the last time you ever set foot in this Blockbuster," I would be like, "Yeah, right."
Oh yeah, that's true.
Little did I know,
man. Yeah, I think we probably went to Blockbuster when I was a kid, but it was definitely starting to phase out in the early 2000s. So like, did you ever go to GameStop to get games?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like the closest experience, I would argue. Like, obviously you don't rent from them, but it's you get that. You remember like when you'd get a new game and you'd open it in the back of the car and read the manual.
Yep. I think. Oh my god, that was way too much fun. Just reading the back of your new game. I think the last time I was in a GameStop was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was when I bought my Switch.
Yeah, I was in one I can't speak. Earlier this year, but that was because we were waiting on it was like across the street from a restaurant where we were waiting on our reservation. It was like a half-hour wait, so we just stuck our head in there.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, hey, have you seen the Mario movie yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay. Sorry.
I will make a point to see it on my next day off.
Okay, I just want to hear your thoughts on it, but because there's a lot of stuff in there that you there's a reference in there that you in particular I think would enjoy very much, and also the soundtrack is perhaps the best movie soundtrack to come out in the last decade,
arguably.
Especially if you're a longtime fan of the Mario series.
I definitely am, and I'm sure that I will feel very nostalgic when I go watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie for the fans. It's incredible. It's a fantastic little film. Not too deep.
Did you
obviously,
see Meat Canyon's video on the Mario movie?
I'm not really into his content.
No?
Gotta admit, it's not for me.
That's fair.
So no, I did not.
I thought it was it was basically like, you know how people were kind of crapping on the Mario movie, how they were like, there wasn't really a plot, there wasn't really anything to it, and everybody was like, it's a kid's movie, you're 30, Yeah. That was basically what Meat Canyon's video was.
Right. Well, and I don't know why you would go into a Mario themed anything expecting a deep plot when the exposition, when the story for every game that has ever come out really has been Bowser get Peach, go save her, the end.
When every boss you fight will be killed after 3 hits,
Mm-hmm. But listen, I don't think that's a bad mechanic though.
No, I enjoy it.
I mean, it works.
It does.
For what it is, it works really well actually. Like without context, like if Nintendo wasn't as big a thing as it was, if you were to tell me that, oh, you can kill this boss in 3 hits, easy, I'd be like, that's a little, that's what? But like sometimes you have to work to be able to get a hit at their weak spot.
That's true.
That registers as one of the 3 hits, and a lot of times in bosses, you've got fun mechanics that are worked into them, so it's
also true.
It all balances out.
Yeah.
And Mario was never meant to be extraordinarily difficult.
True.
Anyway, it's I mean, if you're going for a Mario game 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have a nice laid back time, and that's exactly what I'm here for.
Yep. I've been running around collecting moons for, a couple months now, and it's, I'm not really sweating trying to get them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I like about Odyssey's design is like, because they're like, oh, the Switch is a portable console, so if you want to get like 2 or 3 on the way to school, freaking on the bus, boom.
Yeah, man.
They've got you covered, man. It's a brilliant way to distribute collectibles.
I brought my Switch to a seminar many a time and would just play on it instead of catch up on work.
Yeah.
But let's get this bus back on topic, shall we?
Yes, fair enough. I believe it's your turn.
It is my turn. And one thing that I'm honestly kind of shocked about is the technological advancement of payments and transactions, So like couple years back, I remember when the chip first came out and they were like, yeah, you just stick your card in the machine and it reads it for you. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Whoa, you don't even have to swipe.
Yeah. Like when people were like, like working at a grocery store, I still had people like trying to swipe their card. I'm like, just use your chip. And this was back in like 2020. So now I have people coming into my work all the time that like their card doesn't have a chip. All it is tap. And they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, just set your card on the reader. And
wow.
And like they do it and they're like, that's it? That's all I have to do? You'll hear a beep. I'll be like, yeah, you'll hear a beep and you're good. It's just so mind-blowing to me that all you have to, your card does, you can hover it above the reader. It doesn't even have to touch it. It sends a signal and then the transaction happens. Your money gets transferred to the system that you're using and it's done. Like, I find that incredible and irresponsible to a degree.
Absolutely.
But like, it blows my mind. Like, there are people who will like genuinely be taken back by like they just tap their card on the reader and that's it. You don't even have to use your phone, or you don't even have to use your card. You can use your phone and set your bank account debit card up to it and just hold it up to a reader and like everything will go through from there. I just find it wild. Like, it may not be like the most like controversial, mind-blowing technology, but it's something that like it happened in such a short period of time that it's incredible.
Yeah, but I think we got there gradually, right? Like, we went from swiping to inserting to tapping. Like, I think if we went straight from swiping to NFC, where you don't even technically have to have physical contact between your phone and the payment, the point of service, yeah, people would have crapped their pants. But, you know, that reminds me of is, like, you ever hear, like, how the stories how, like, people get released from prison after, like, 20 plus years and they'll be like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
You don't have to have a driver in your car? Like, they'll be mind blown at how technology has changed. Like, they'll go to the nearest gas station, they'll pull out their flip phone, and the person behind the register will laugh at them.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's that'd be a fascinating thing to watch, though. Is like someone who hasn't been exposed to technology. Like, well, like not like like Amish level, but like someone who hasn't seen how we've developed in the past like 30 years, be like, what? We're not using floppies anymore. Like that bit in Gravity Falls where they're trying to get all that data back from the government, and he's like, here, put it on this, and he holds out a floppy disk, and Stan he's like, no, put another thumb drive. There's something like that.
Would have to be.
Do you still use floppies? Something like that. Yeah.
That would have to be
good times.
That would have to be one of those experiments that scientists like. I think withholding someone from the world would be deemed unethical. So they would have to be one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
It would have to be one of those cases that scientists would have to find naturally and be like, oh, we can study this and see how this goes. Like like when they find like a feral child and they're like, wow, they were not developed at all. Let's study the crap out of them instead of being nice. Exactly.
No, I'm sure they were treated well. I hope.
Instead of like, let's lock this child away for 13 years and then see what happens. You can't do that.
No, yeah, that's terrible. So I guess I'll go to my next thing on the list, which is our cameras, right? So.
Oh yeah, that was one of mine.
Like. When I was a kid, we I used my dad's to like film videos when we were screwing around with my friends. My dad had a Sony Handycam analog camcorder that recorded onto 8mm videotapes.
Beautiful. And
that bad boy, man, it's seen so much stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And man, back in the day, like even like when I could have gone out and gotten a digital one, I don't know why, but I think it's because, they cost money. But I used that thing literally until it died. Like the battery it came with, like, stopped being able to be recharged.
Right.
So for a while it sat dormant in the basement. But like if you came to me when I was that age, screwing around with that camcorder with a big, well, they're not necessarily that big, but comparatively speaking, they're pretty big tapes, and handed me like even like just an iPhone 5. I'd be like, what? What is this?
If you handed me an iPhone 3GS and we're like,
sorcery. Yeah.
Look at the camera on this, I'd be like, wow.
If you handed me a Nokia 3310, no, I'm just kidding. It's about from that time. But no, yeah, the point is like, we're like, no, we don't need magnetic tapes anymore. We got freaking digital file storage. Oh, we don't need a dedicated camcorder to record video on. Put it on your flipping phone. And my dad's got an iPhone. It's either a 12 or a 13, and we was using it earlier today. I was looking at his like miniature lead figurines for D&D, and he was using it to zoom in on the writing on the bases of them on the bottom to see like who manufactured them and what year. And you know what? As much as I hate to admit this about Apple, I was impressed with the camera. I'm not going to lie.
Nice.
But again, you can get about the same quality, or sometimes even better, with Samsung's phones. Just saying. Anyway, I will hand the baton back to you.
All right, mine. You already touched on cameras, and that was one of mine. But another one of mine also involves cameras, and that is how advanced we've gotten with like, the government being able to track you. You know, the advancements of just
how invasive technology
is.
Yeah,
public safety and like the way everything that you do can be viewed like in an instant. Like you can run a red light and not even need to be pulled over, and you will already be charged for
for
a red
electronically
light
ticket you.
Yep. And
yeah, you'll get a bill in the mail.
And it's like
it's a little scary, honestly.
Yeah, there's all this like crazy stuff, like kind of back to the banking thing. I don't know if you've heard about FedNow.
I can't say I have.
Basically, what they're doing is the government is trying to implement a new kind of electronic banking system in an attempt to go cashless. And it's a program called FedNow, and if your bank uses it, you are going to have to use it as well. But basically, the government can see every purchase you make, every outgoing payment, every incoming payment. They can block payments from you. They can reject things from you. Yeah, they can see everything if your bank goes through FedNow and you have to go through FedNow. Everything. You can, and it's this.
If that's the case, then then I shouldn't have to file my taxes anymore, because they can already see. Well, I guess they wouldn't. Does that include like income? Like if you get your paychecks into there,
I'm sure.
Will they see that too?
I'm sure.
Yeah, then we shouldn't have to file our taxes anymore, because they know.
Yeah, I mean
that's pretty much how it works in like Europe, like the European Union, is that the government files their taxes for them, because they're well, first of all, they're honest with how they make purchases, but also because they have a better system in place. Man, I kind of want to move there.
This FedNow thing, this isn't even like a rumor, like, oh, I heard it. Like, if you look up FedNow, you'll find hundreds of articles about it.
Wow.
So,
do you remember off the top of your head any of the banks that are using it?
I don't think it's quite in place yet, so I don't remember seeing any banks that were going to be using it.
This reminds me of I remember back in 2013, this news report came out on it was like a TV like segment bit thing, where they were talking about how they like made a prediction about how the way like transactions technology was going, to where you could have a chip by 2017. They said you'd be able to have a chip installed in your hand.
Yeah, I remember that.
To like wave over.
You just like hover,
scanner to pay. And everyone was like, "It's the mark of the beast, bro." And I was like, "Well, there goes my high school graduation." Rip.
But I mean, aren't there Amazon stores that are like that? Like you just walk in and walk out with your stuff, and it charges you.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to. It's like not anything that's implanted in you. It's like
that's true.
It's like I'm sure there's like some sort of like sensor or whatever in the product packaging, and then there's like detectors at the doors that are like, oh, they've left with a box of Cheerios or whatever.
Probably something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Because if we can identify whether or not you've taken something unauthorized out of a store, we can configure it to identify the product to a system.
True.
So that's an interesting concept too. Like, do they have like a couple of security guards there to make sure you don't steal? How does that work?
I don't know. Like, what if you don't have an Amazon account? You just walk in, grab some stuff, walk out.
Yeah, I always thought that was a bold concept when they first like announced it, and they showed the proof of concept in a video. It's like, did you see that there was like a proof of concept video back when VR was like when the Vive first came out, and the first Oculus Rift came out in VR. It had that initial boom, and it was like, pretty soon this is how you'll be shopping, and it was a shop in VR like generated around you, and then you had like a transparent cart, and you just like reached out with your controller and you grabbed an item and like put it into the cart. And then
I might.
That translated into like a list, but it's like you can just use an app and it's like infinitely better.
Yeah, there's something called, I don't even remember what it's called.
Instacart,
thank you.
Yep. Or I think
DoorDash is doing stuff too now.
Yeah, DoorDash. I don't remember if Uber does it for groceries, but they definitely have Uber Eats, which is for like takeout. But yeah, I was like, that's a little excessive. That's a bit much. And there was like a person that they captured in the video that was like standing right there to assist you. It's like, come on. If I can figure out how to set up a VR,
grocery
early
store.
2010s VR setup, then I can figure out how to shop for groceries.
All right, I pass the baton to you.
Well, I thank you. iPods was another one on my list because they exist, but they're not still actively made. Apple stopped manufacturing them because just have your music on your phone now.
Right.
But like I remember again when I was a kid, there it's all about you gotta have a phone and an iPod. Put all your music on, and then the iPod Touch came out, and I was like, this is essentially a phone, but without the ability to like text or call. But then they came out with iMessage, and then it was like, this is just a phone, but you can't call. It's like, why? What's the difference here? I was like, why would you spend your money on this when you could just have a phone? And then they were like, yeah, that's true. And then they stopped making iPods. But if you'd come to me as a kid and been like, iPods will no longer exist in the future, I'd been like, I don't know. They seem like a pretty popular thing.
Right. I mean, I think I if I was a kid, I'd probably been like, yeah, I can see there being something a little bit better than this. This isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world.
Did you ever have an iPod Shuffle?
No, I didn't. I never had a Shuffle. I had like the iPod Gen 4, which was just like the little square.
Did it have a screen?
No, it was just a square with like a play button and like some other doodads on it.
Did it have a clip?
It had a clip. You could like clip it to your pocket or whatever.
That's a Shuffle.
It was a Shuffle. It might have been. Hold on. No, I have to look.
The Nano for the longest time had a screen. Eventually, I think they phased out the screen, but the Nano had a screen. My sister had a Nano, but I had a Shuffle.
Yeah,
and I remember being like, "That's so nice that you can clip it onto your clothes," but I never worked out when I was a kid. But it's nice little. It was definitely nice having a physical, dependable clip on the device on which you're listening to music to. I now have a little strap that goes around my arm, and then my phone just barely fits into it now because it was made for not so big a phone because phones are huge now.
I had a orange Apple iPod Shuffle Gen 4.
Boom, there you go. Mine was red.
Those things are still running for upwards of $150.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yep.
Well, I bet that's like new and in packaging though, right?
I'm looking at stuff from eBay, Walmart. eBay is $149.99.
Well, here's the thing about eBay, right? If you're gonna look for how much some of these worth on eBay, you have to specifically open up the filters and sort by things that have actually sold.
Right.
Because you can go on there and charge however the frick what much you want for an item. What matters is how much people are actually buying them for.
But the thing is, they're not Bluetooth. So like,
well, that's because sound quality and especially like microphone quality tends to be better with an actual cable.
Right.
But Bluetooth is getting pretty good these days, and it's nice not having any actual wires. Like the true wireless earbuds, those are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. That's also a pretty mind-blowing thing.
That was actually another thing I had on my list.
Yeah, I remember I saw a video in like the early 2010s on YouTube where it was like secret wireless earbuds hack, and it was a video of this guy who like took his earbuds, he cut through the wire with scissors, wrapped foil on the ends where they were cut, and then he you hear him like hit play, and then you could hear faint music playing, but it's just from I think it was like obviously it wasn't the earbuds; they stopped working. But I think the trick was that it was a phone on low volume that he had, or an iPod on low volume that he had off screen, and it triggered a bunch of people because a bunch of idiots fell for it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing is that phones have gotten massive and flat now and smooth and sexy, and earbuds no longer have cables. That's another thing that would have blown my mind as a kid.
Yeah.
But I would have been like, that totally makes sense though. Like I could even very early on, like before we started getting those Bluetooth head earbuds where it has like the little thing on your neck. I could tell that we were heading in a direction where we wouldn't have any cables at all anymore. Like I was like, I bet we're just limited by the technology of our time, but wouldn't it be so much easier if you didn't have cables? And yeah, that's absolutely the case.
It's very easy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell you, like I use it doesn't have like it's got a cable that runs back behind your neck between two earbuds. It's a Bluetooth set that I have that I use at work. And the amount of times I catch my thumb on the cable that's hanging on the right side of my right shoulder is it's a little infuriating. But I will feel like a wasteful butthole if I don't use those things till they die, and they're pretty old.
I bought a $15 pair of wireless Bluetooth headphones that are just like little balls that go in my ears, and great sound quality. That's all I need.
Yeah, I have a pair like that too that I use at home, but. Are yours? Can you, if you have a wireless charger, can you put them in the case and then set the case on the wireless charger? Because I can do that with mine, and it's incredible.
I don't have. So these ones are. It doesn't necessarily have a wireless charger, but these ones have like a built-in, like USB cable. So all I have to do is just kind of undo that from the bottom and then plug it into a USB port, and they charge.
Yeah, I mean mine have that option too, but it's like if you want, you can just set it on a pad and it'll.
That's
charge
nice.
It. That's another. I didn't have that on my list, but wireless charging, man, it's not impressive yet because you still have to like sit it right there on the thing. But I feel like I read somewhere that we're getting to the point where you can set it to where as long as you're in a room, it'll charge your whatever.
That sounds ionizing.
Yeah. Sounds a little deadly.
It sounds
it's the wrong kind of radiation.
That sounds
cool.
Cancerous, if you ask me.
Sounds like standing inside the microwave, if that were physically possible.
Yeah, dude, just come into my room. I got some stuff charging here. Don't worry about it. Why is my vision all like weird?
Why are there 4 of you? Why is my skin all green? No, but I'll pass it back to you now.
All right, mine. Another one that I have is visual effects.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have seen some pretty crappy visual effects when I was a kid. Very noticeable. You're like, that's clearly edited, but it has gotten to the point now in 2023 that there are videos that I've seen where I've honestly been like, this could be edited and I would never know. Like, this is just out there in the media. It has like 100,000 likes and people could be believing this, and it could be edited or it could not be. Like, I have no idea. Granted, in today's era, there are still very, very bad visual effects. The newest Black Widow movie. Sorry.
Wait a minute. What part are you talking about? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. I only watched it once.
You know when they're in like the sky base and it's like blowing up and they're gonna fall off.
Yeah.
There's a scene where like the background is just so. It's awful. I literally laughed out loud in the movie theater when I saw it. I was like, "What is that? Really, Marvel? That's what you're gonna give us?" It's horrible. You'll have to. I'm sure if you look up Black Widow bad editing, you'd find it.
Right. So kind of like when they had to like.
It's when
edit. It's Henry Cavill's mustache off.
Yeah. It's the scene when Black Widow is telling her sister to let go of the plane or something, or she like falls off or something like that. Mm-hmm. The sky behind her is the fakest thing you'll ever see in your entire life. Like they didn't even try to make it look real.
Wow. Have you ever heard of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
I have not.
Okay, so it's like a how do I describe this? Garth Marenghi himself is a fictional character, and the show is set up So it came out in 2004, but it's like a mock. It's like a spoof of, like 80s low budget 80s television, and so it's like Garth Marenghi's this horror author, and he wrote a TV show called Dark Place, and he's like, all right, now several years later, I'm finally pulling these out of the archives because the channel approved it, and we're gonna show it right here on TV, and then you see the episode, and so. Like in the first episode, one of the characters it takes place in a hospital, and one of the characters is walking down a hallway, and you see her like stop, and there's a cat that like walks past her, but you see if you look at the door that it comes out of, you can see the hand tossing the cat out into the hallway. It's so good. Like it's like leans into the looking bad and a comedic way, and it looks hilarious.
Yeah, I love it when shows do that. Oh well, I guess I have one more thing to say, and that is that level
right.
that level of visual effects, like such a professional like level of it blurring the lines between what's real and what's not is practically readily readily accessible to the public.
Oh,
accessible.
Deepfakes are scary though. Those are scary.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like. And especially with, like, I don't know if this is one that you had. If it is, I won't say anything about it. But, like, AI generated, like...
I actually didn't have that on there. That's a good one, though.
But, like...
I figured that because people are all talking about AI today, I was like, maybe not. But that's, it's fair.
Like, AI generated, like, voices and stuff like that. Those have gotten
Dude, I literally,
really good.
On the way home from Walmart tonight, I listened to an AI generated cover of Billie Jean by Mr. Krabs. And it was incredible.
Billie Jean is not my
favorite. Yeah, that's basically what it sounded like. It's incredible. It's like Clancy Brown himself was wailing into the microphone.
I saw one that was like AI generated Eminem one, and it was like three dudes broke into his house, and he's got like a musket and like a cannon. He's like, my musket blows a hole through the first rapscallion.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the like presidents playing Minecraft together?
Those are everywhere, bro.
Welcome back to Obama Gaming. Today we're gonna blow up Donald Trump's house.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. We're gonna use a lot of TNT and fill up every single empty space. Joe Biden, are you with me? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I have. Those are always interesting.
Those are so good.
People were like, this is single-handedly like bringing. People were like contemplating whether or not it was like a ploy to like kind of reunify people with like the presidents.
Yeah,
because it was like all three of them together. Oh, you know what I saw? I saw the craziest theory like the other day. So have you seen those ads of the Marine ads recently on like YouTube and stuff?
I cannot tell why. I use an ad blocker, so I don't see ads on YouTube anymore.
Okay, well, there
and it's great.
I'm sure.
Highly recommend.
I'm sure it is. But there's this ad, I see it all the time. I watch a lot of YouTube, but it's basically like an ad about like the Marines, and it's like there are threats often unseen threatening the future of our world, just propaganda. But in the video, it used to be like when it was like threats unseen, they were like in this forest, and there's like Marines walking through this forest, and then all these birds fly away, and the birds turn into like drones, and then the drones fly off. And I haven't seen that video ever again. Like, it's different now. Like, they changed it. Like, all the videos the same except for that one part. And people were talking about like, this is giving the people wrong idea, like confirming people that are like birds are drones, like government drones and stuff like that.
Yeah, birds aren't real.
So they took it down like completely. Like, they changed that whole scene. I was like, wow. Because I never noticed it. I was just like, oh yeah, the birds turned into drones. Ooh, scary. But people were like, they're all the birds are drones. They're gonna drone strike the public whenever they want.
Yeah. But I would like to just plug ad blockers real quick. They're great on
ad blockers.
Desktop.
They're great.
Yeah, use uBlock Origin and on desktop. There's an add-on for pretty much any browser out there.
Is that like a Google? Is it like a Google Chrome extension?
Yeah, you could get it on a Google Chrome extension or Firefox or whatever internet browser you're using. There's probably a version of it for it. And even if there's not, there's like 13 other ad blockers that other people have made that will probably work just as well. And I'm on Android, so I use what's called YouTube Revanced, which is what do you call that? Like a revival of YouTube Vanced, which was an ad-free version of the YouTube app. It's like a patched APK, and so the process is a little more complicated, but it's still pretty straightforward to get revanced. I highly recommend it. If you're on iOS, God help you. I don't remember what. I think there is a solution out there now, but for the longest time there wasn't. And even so, you have to jailbreak your phone. So God help you. But what I love about Revance is it has built-in sponsor block. Have you ever heard of sponsor block?
Yeah.
It's incredible. For those of you who are not familiar, it literally will skip through segments. So like it's a crowdsourced. So like if you have it, you can mark parts in a video that where the person in the video takes a moment to like has an ad in the video or like promote their own channel or remind you to subscribe, and you can like, hey, this section of the video is that.
Before we get into this video, I'd like to talk about Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can set sponsor block to just automatically skip through that. And I cannot tell you how satisfying that is, because like people like Matt Patman.
Oh, yeah.
He seems like a great dude, and his content's pretty high quality for years, right? But almost every single video, he will not shut up about the subscribe button. It's like, I get that you want to grow your channel, as always, right? And get people to sub, but like, what about those of us who have already subbed?
Yeah, that's true.
What more do you want from me, man? I'm not giving you I'm not buying your merch. Stop it. That's not the point. The point, though, is get sponsor block. It's beautiful, and there's also as an extension on Chrome and other browsers. Rant over. That's another thing that's grown, but to a horrible, disproportionate levels. Ads. Anyway, though, my next point, if you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is like TV screen / monitors.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
When I was a young lad,
I knew you were gonna say that.
The nicer TVs were big and fat. Like there's no way around it. If you wanted a nice big TV, you had to have a equally nice, massive entertainment center to sit it on. I guess otherwise you'd put it on the floor, but that would make you look not very cool. But I will say, like TVs used to be so big that if they fell on you, they'd kill you.
Yeah,
they're massive, and if it wasn't killing you because of the weight,
it would
explode
explode.
Because of the chemicals that they had inside of the screens. Like some of them had like mercury in them and stuff. Man, it's not, now they're like leaching out into the environment in landfills. Not the point. Point is though that they are now impressively thin, mind-blowingly so. Especially like if you were to again show me as a kid how thin they were gonna get. Like, hand me one. Like, hand me the monitor I'm using right now. I'd be like, you're lying. This is fake. This is one of those fake ones from IKEA, right? It's not real. Like, I remember... Do you remember... did you ever have a coax connection cable to your TV?
Oh, yeah.
When you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you know how they, like, actually were threaded, so you had to screw it into the plug? That actually saved my life one time, because I tried to climb up the entertainment center and pulled the TV out, and it like fell forward, but it stuck on the coax cable, which was screwed into the plug, and because of that, it did not fall on and kill me.
Wow.
I was like maybe 3. But yeah, TVs, man, used to be flipping huge. Now mounting a TV on the wall was something you could only do with like smaller models back in the day. And even then, you had to get like it wasn't even really on the wall. It was sitting on a bracket. The bracket itself was mounted on the wall. Now you can now most TVs come where you can't set them on something. You have to mount it on the wall. Like there's no alternative.
I think the tube TV that I had when I was a kid was like 5 foot wide by like, I want to say like 5 foot wide by like 5 foot tall, and then like 4 feet deep, like, and it just sat on the floor.
4 feet deep.
It was it went back, man. I had to see if I could find a picture of it.
Yeah, if the Fine Bros content wasn't so cringe, I think it would be amusing watching children react to the technologies of yesteryear, because back when they first started, they had some pretty good video. Like I was like, when they first like became big, I was like, you know what? There's potential here. I can see why they're getting popular. But then they tried to copyright the word react, and things started going downhill. Not the point. But yeah. Do you remember that giant TV we used to have in the middle school room at church?
Yeah.
That thing.
It was
for those.
It was essentially one of those. My old TV when I was a kid.
Right. So for those of you listening at home, it was so big that it was its own entertainment center. Like, it literally just sat on the floor.
Yeah, that's how mine was.
And there was no other way to use it. It had wheels. It rolled along on tiny little wheels.
Ours did not roll.
And,
it just sat there.
All right, but the one in the church was on these tiny little wheels that were, because they were so small and the TV was so massive, they didn't really work. But yeah, it was huge.
Yep, it was great for BO2.
Yeah, so massive. And do you remember though, like when you would turn on a CRTV and it would be like, you could it made us like a staticky noise.
Yeah,
almost.
the screen like slowly lit up like a projector.
Yeah, like powered up. Did you ever hold a magnet up to one?
Oh yeah.
I never did, but I was always told about how it would mess it up. I was like, well, I don't want to get in trouble.
We actually did at the latter years of my old TV's life. I think my sister and I stuck like a really small magnet in like the top right and destroyed like 5% of the screen.
Do you also remember how they tended to be like they would curve out a little from their frame?
Mm-hmm.
Now monitors just be flat, straight up. They were like there was a curve to it.
I remember when like a curved, sleek monitor was like the thing, you know? When they were trying to like really, really push for like the 72 inches that like wrapped around your whole living room or something.
Yeah, or like on a PC it would be like the tower and then that nice fat square monitor.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the old iMacs with the bright, transparent plastic colored plastic?
Yeah.
Classic stuff, man. Classic. And when you boot it up, it goes burn like Wall-E.
Yep.
Good times. I'm sad that they got rid of that sound. Honestly, that was like iconic.
Like the PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah, man. Or the PS1.
True.
Or the GameCube.
PlayStation in general, they just kind of fell off with their startups, or like Windows XP.
Oh yeah, there you go. And then there's an iconic startup sound. Ba, 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 ba.
Nah, there's nothing worse than trying to like get on the computer like really early in the morning. Like, I'm just gonna play some games. Like, I don't need to ask. Nobody's up, and it would just maximum volume, just
bass boosted.
There's like the wind is like blowing your hair back from how loud the speakers are.
And you're like flying backward like Marty McFly at the beginning of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's another thing. Like, how Windows has changed over the years. It sucks.
Operating systems in general, yeah.
Yeah. It's a real shame, honestly. Like, there's no DRM in Windows 10, and that is garbage, frankly.
I think the last...
But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, I'll pass it back to you.
That was it, man. We kind of...
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went over all mine.
All right, well, I got one last one. And that is game cartridges. Do you remember how big they used to be?
Yeah,
like,
you know what?
The earliest game console I owned as a kid was an N64, and those are pretty sizable. Even like they're smaller than SNES ones.
Yeah,
I think width wise, but they're still sizable as far as like, you know, they go.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to like the GameCube and that era, and it was all on discs, and I was like, okay, all right, I can understand why this is the future. Load times are faster, everything looks better.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was weird how GameCube discs they elected to have them be so tiny. They were cute, but you could definitely tell that it suffered a little bit because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had told me during that era, like when the GameCube and the Wii era, I actually should say when that was the console that reigned supreme, that generation, if you had told me that we would eventually go back to cartridges, I would have called you a liar. But I guess arguably. At least Nintendo's handhelds never stopped having cartridges, but like we went from the N64, which was cartridge based, to the GameCube, which had CDs or discs. Then the Wii had discs, and the Wii U had discs. But then they came out with the Switch, and that has cartridges again, and it's like even faster and better than any disc could hope to ever be.
Oh yeah,
and it was mind blowing a little when it first came out. Not gonna lie, and they're like the size of an SD card.
Yeah, if you told me like that my game cartridge for an entire like 30 gigabyte game would be the size of a quarter, I would be like, that's not possible.
Yeah, if you would have gone back to like 2011, well, back when Xbox 360 was at its peak, you know, Halo 3 was out there, Skyrim, and if you handed me Breath of the Wild cartridge on Switch, and it was like,
Behold.
you were like, this is like 3 times bigger than Skyrim, I would have pooped my pants and fall over it, and also not believed you.
The only thing that my only quarrel with like the advancements that we made in like the gaming world and like everything is that everything needs to be downloaded. Back in my day, you could pop a disc in your Wii and you were good for instantly. All they had to do was read it and you were good for hours.
Dude, Nintendo is the only modern console that I should rephrase that. There are versions of current gen consoles that don't even have disc slots anymore.
Yeah.
They're just like, it's download only. You're out of luck. God help
There's
you.
a digital only PS5
and Series X. Well, it's called the Series S, but that's what it is. And that to me sucks, man. That's not cool.
Yeah. I like my physical copies, man.
Mm-hmm. Like, did you hear about that whole case in the late 2010s where someone, like, this happened like at least twice, maybe 3 times. It's like people's Oculus accounts would get deleted and they lost all their games, and then Facebook was just like, yeah, you're SOL, sorry. Lol. I was like, and that's why I'm never getting an Oculus. But no, that kind of thing, and that's happened on the Origin game launcher as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Sony's done it. I want to say Ubisoft maybe did it. I don't know. There are plenty of scummy companies out there who probably have thought about doing it at the very least. I think, you know what? Apple did that with their music once or twice. They've like deleted people's iTunes libraries. That's a little different though, because music is stupidly easy to pirate. But
true.
Yes, I'll always prefer having a physical copy of a video game every single time.
The only thing that sucks is that back when I was a kid, one of my favorite video games was the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga on the Wii. And
that's a good one.
I was like one character away from like total 100% completion, or like something. I was like so close, and like the Wii broke with the disc inside, and just like completely wiped everything.
That's the worst.
I
wait. Oh, your save?
Yeah. Well, it like broke the Wii completely.
Oh, it just died.
Yeah. So there was no.
Now you could probably Google that and find like 6 different ways to fix it.
Probably.
It's pretty great how that works today. That's like the Complete Saga on the Wii. That's like how to do a remaster. They not only made the original games like look good.
Yeah.
And they I don't know if they up-resed it necessarily. I'm pretty sure they did. And they they updated it for the Wii. But then they added in content that was originally cut from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And then more additional content that you could do from the cantina. That's how you do a remaster, man.
It was I probably put, I'd say 600 hours into that game. There's probably not even that much hours of game time, but it's just me playing it over and over and over again.
Right, yeah, because it's a good game. I mean, it's probably not as ridiculous with the advent of the Skywalker Saga game, but I always felt that the Lego Star Wars games are some of the most immersive Star Wars games you could play.
Oh, yeah.
And to be fair, I didn't have much other Star Wars games, but they're still pretty great. And the way that you can just hop in a ship and fly around, blasting your enemies out of the sky over the Death Star or whatever, it's pretty great. And the level design was killer, man, on point.
Okay, I think 600 hours might have been a little bit of an overstatement. I play that game a lot. I'll say that.
Fair enough. That checks out. I believe you that you played it a lot. Maybe not 600 hours a lot, but a lot. I did too.
Yeah. Great game.
And did you like what was your thoughts on 3 when 3 came out? That one kind of blew my mind.
I was pleased. I don't think I left my basement for like a while.
Yeah, I remember being shocked at just the size of the hub world in that game.
Yeah.
It completely blew away at anything else that I had known at the time, Like with the first Lego Star Wars, we got Dexter's Diner, which was pretty small, and then we got the Cantina in number 2, which was a little bigger.
Going from the Cantina to that, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I can go everywhere.
Yeah, if you've never played Lego Star Wars 3 before, basically the hub world is when you first load up whenever you load up the game, you'll start on the bridge of the Venator cruiser, which is a Republic battle cruiser ship. It's like it's got all the other smaller ships inside of it and troopers. And then you can go down the elevator and you can explore around in there, and there's a character creator, and there's a ground vehicle showroom, and then a bunch of just other stuff you can do. There's a room where you can control the exterior cannons and shoot at enemies. And then you can go down to the hangar, and if you spawn in a ship and you hop in it, you'll automatically fly out of the hangar and into space. And then there's a giant area of space where there's a space battle going on, which you can participate in for money.
Yeah.
And then if you fly, the Venator's all the way on the left. If you fly all the way to the right, you'll run into a Separatist frigate, which you can then land in. And it's not quite as expansive as the Venator, but it's got a ground vehicle room in it, and it's got the bounty hunter room in it, and a turret room, and you can also go up to the bridge in it as well. And that is also, I have to say, I kind of like them. Because it was all contained. It was still more contained in that game. If you wanted to buy a character, you had to find them and beat the ever-loving crap out of them, and then they become purchasable.
Yeah.
In the previous games, you just walked up to the bar and bought them. But I think I think either Lego Star Wars 3 or Indiana Jones 2 is the first one to be like, all right, you got to find them and then beat them up. But it was executed a lot better in Lego Star Wars 3.
I think that was one of my favorite parts, playing with someone else and then being like, do you have that character? Have you seen that character before? Like, get him! Like,
get him! That was, okay, also, in Lego, I think it was either, again, Lego Star Wars 3 or Indiana Jones 2, where you could actually walk away from player 2, and the screen would split in half, and you'd have your own camera, and you wouldn't have to, like, be dragging the other player along with you. That was incredible. That blew my mind as a kid.
I would have fun if someone was like, I'm gonna go get a drink real quick, I'll be right back. Like, the way they had it to where it would like remerge was like so clean to like screen. I would just walk back and forth.
I was like, that is so sexy and smooth. I love it. I remember one time I was playing with my little cousin, and we were just literally messing around in the hub world. That's how like immersive and fun the hub world is in Star Wars 3. And so I would just keep getting in a ship and flying over to the other like battle cruiser whenever, and he would keep trying to follow me, but every time he would come in and land, I would get in and take off and go to the other one. And eventually I did it so many times in a row that it made him cry, and he had a tantrum in the room, on the floor in the room next to me, and I was just sitting there playing the game.
That's
good times. I love trolling that little guy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Shout out to you if you're listening. I don't know if you actually consistently listen to this podcast, but yeah. I won't name drop you to save you from embarrassment, but yeah.
And shout out to you if you are listening and you've made it this far consistently. We appreciate you. It is viewers, listeners
absolutely.
Like you that make this possible.
Yeah, do you ever watch PBS?
Yeah, of course I watch PBS.
Yeah, they're always like, special thanks to viewers like you at the end of the credits.
Yep.
Yeah. Or like, I think it's like during commercial rolls, it'd be like, this program is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you.
I feel so good.
And you're welcome.
For sitting on my butt for 6 hours a day watching TV.
Yeah, exactly. Man, do you remember Cyber Chase?
I never watched it. I remember it, but I didn't even know if I was allowed to watch it or if I just didn't care for it. I don't know.
Dude, it was on PBS, man. PBS is like the kid-friendly, other than like, I guess Disney Junior.
Yeah, I knew it. Well, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to watch anything on Disney either.
What the heck?
It was
all right. Then.
It was rough, man.
Dude, I guess we'll unpack that trauma in another episode. But basically, Cyber Chase was like.
There's a bird. That's all I know.
Yeah. I think he was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, and then the villain of that show was voiced by Christopher Lloyd. And when I found that out, my mind was blown.
Wow.
But then when you hear his voice, you're like, oh yeah, that's absolutely him. But yeah, he does a great job.
Neat.
Yeah, it's a fun little show. Anyway, I think that's probably about it for this episode. I have no more to go on.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all she wrote. We appreciate you tuning in. Anyway, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next month, and as always, we'll see you in 20 years.
Bye-bye.
Bye.